50 years of professional football at Cleveland Stadium. They began in 1946 in the old AAFC, and by the time Paul Brown and the Cleveland Browns, they were rolling. They won 7 championships in that league and the NFL, and then the Browns won another one in 1964. Fitting today in what looked like the last game ever at Cleveland Stadium for the Browns that Paul Brown's son, Mike Brown, was in as owner of the Cincinnati Bengals. Jim Brown, many of the old Browns on hand, fans not sure what to do. 50 years of football boiled down to 60 minutes in Cleveland. Kind of a somber scene as you watched us on game day this morning. The fans in Cleveland laying the stadium to rest. First game played September 9th, 1931. Art Modell, well, not the most popular, and understandably from the young fans who will never really grow up to understand what the Cleveland Browns have meant to this city. This fan, like others, sentiments. They feel they were stabbed in the back. They were exciting, weren't they? There are some that said, thanks, Art. Lou Groza, one of the many Hall of Famers of the Cleveland Browns that came back. The ushers not ripping the tickets at today's game because somebody wanted to keep it. Jim Brown, the greatest Brown, probably the greatest player ever in the NFL. An emotional day for him, and Mike Brown looking very much like his dad did with that hat. Nobody introduced individually. The team came out as a group and shook hands like Michael Jackson did with the fans. Oh, yeah, there was a game in the second quarter. Vinny Testaverde to Frank Hartley. Looks like a left tackle. 7-0 Browns. Middle of the second quarter, Andre Rison makes a play, and he says, come on, we didn't do it. Come on, fans, help me out. And he knows that the fans love the players. They just don't know what to do. 2 plays later, Vinny to Rison. He does it again. Come on, let's get fired up. One of 4 Matt Stover field goals. At that point, made it 10-3. Vinny to Keenan McCardle, a diving touchdown. 17-3 the Browns. They go on to win it 26-10, but this is the play to McCardle. That was the one that didn't make it to Rison. Here is McCardle's play. 26-10 at the end, but the fans, what do you expect? They wanted their piece of history. They didn't really want it, but that's what they were left to. Taking seats out by the row, and then some, we don't want it. The Browns players hugging those in the dog pound. Steve Everett, Dana Hall, all the Browns players. Thanks for the memories, said both to each other. Memories like about Paul Brown, the great teams of the 40s and the 50s, the legendary coach. Automatic Otto Graham, who led them in the first NFL championship game once they became a member of the NFL, beating the old team from Cleveland, the Rams, now that they were in L.A. The last title in '64, Dr. Frank Ryan. Oh, to Gary Collins. Touchdown. David had a dog pound then, even though the goalpost had 2 posts in. And Jim Brown. No memory of the Cleveland Browns. Can't have any without watching and imagining number 32 then and now. The end of an era in Cleveland, it looks like. Although the league is hopeful, maybe 50-50, that there is some sort of pro football in Cleveland next year, the Browns, or maybe somebody else. The Browns at least say to their fans, you know what, we appreciate you coming out. And they came out 55-875 was the attendance. They went 26-10. And Ernest Biner, one of the Browns who was so close to the Super Bowl in the late 80s, had his first 100-yard game in 3 years. And this was a surreal day, Tommy. You grew up in Cleveland going to games here. I was with you. What do you feel?
It's just certainly touching to watch Jim Brown and Otto Graham and the guys at the stadium. And I think unless you've been a fan of the Cleveland Browns and lived in that city, I was born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, I don't think you can understand what the emotion of this moment means. And it's still hard to imagine that this team will not be there when they line up to play football next year.
I think you don't have to be a Cleveland fan. You have to be a football fan to feel the sadness. And as Jim Brown said so eloquently, these people have done nothing wrong.
That's right.
The people of Cleveland.
That's right.
At least they will remain remembering that the Browns' last game there was a win. Their 272nd win in that stadium, all told. Miami-Buffalo coming up. Cards-Eagles coming up. Late games. Stay with us.